Yeah, you're camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. Welcome back to the most ridiculous marketing podcast with your host, James Hacking. That is me, founder of Socially Powerful. With my fellow hosts, Hayden, Uncle Albert Miller, and Ross, super sub, Georgialides. He's back in the room.
I am back in the mixer.
#carpetbits.
I'm live and direct, and I am ready to take on today's podcast.
Where have you been, Ross?
Where have I been?
Yeah.
I've been sat warming up the subs bench. You know what? I would like to be in the starting 11, or in this case, the starting 3. Ooh. But if you want me to come on in the 60th minute and score that winner, then I can do that job.
Did you do that again?
Boom.
But Ross, we've not seen you for a while on this podcast. What's been going on in your life? I hear you're training for something at the moment.
I am indeed. I am now a runner.
Oi, oi.
I'm an athlete, actually, is what I like to call myself.
Fair enough.
I'm running 2 times a week because I'm running the London Marathon in aid of Mind charity on
yourself.
the 26th of April.
Yeah? And what sort of time are you going for?
Let's not talk about times, Jim. How much are you going to donate?
That's my man right there.
Where's the ball? I'm the host here. I answer the questions.
Where's the donation?
You tell me your time, I'll tell you how much. Boom. Go on. What are you going for?
I would like to cross the line, in all honesty, boys. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man.
I knew that was coming from somewhere. God.
But no, how's training going?
It's going pretty well.
Yeah.
I had an injury before Christmas due to not fixing certain things in my body from sport in my, childhood.
Yep.
Playing ice hockey and stuff. But
sorry about that.
I've just had to let them know.
I am an ice hockey
player.
But
I've got myself all fixed up, and I'm just trying to put about 2 miles on each week. So I'm doing a half marathon in Fort Park on Sunday.
Nice.
And then I've just got to climb until I can get close to the 26-mile mark.
Nice.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
Confident?
Yeah. I'm going to do it. I'm going to bring it home to the boys.
He's bringing it home.
I'm going to bring it home to the boys.
Second guessing there.
No booze, no nights out. It's not happening. But after April,
yeah, no booze.
I'm all yours, lads.
No booze. Dry January? You haven't done it, have you?
Not recently, no. I have
not recently dry January.
I'm doing it on a weekly basis. But no,
moist. Moist Jan.
It's been a pretty moist Jan.
Yeah.
The last couple of days, it's been good.
I'm 30 days in, lads.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've kept it up.
Congratulations.
Kept it up.
How do you feel?
I don't know. I feel. Do you know what the good thing I've found is that Monday mornings are a lot easier to wake up after like a heavy weekend. Yeah. That's what I've realised. It's a lot easier to wake up when you wake up after a big weekend. You're just like, I don't want to go to work.
Well, you got suicide Tuesdays, right? You're like, Monday you think's bad. Tuesday comes, you're like, ugh, and then Wednesday's kind of like, the day you start feeling better.
Yeah, cool. So
Cheers, on.
Let's just move it on. So in the news this week. It's still there. Yeah. I'll be honest, I'm not sure what's going to come up in the news this week, but there is one big topic that has hit the timelines of social media pretty hard. Why are you laughing?
This is just, it's really good.
Okay, fine. I thought you were laughing at the topic that's about to be told. No. Kobe Bryant, unfortunately, died in a helicopter accident this weekend. I'm not going to profess that I'm a massive basketball fan, but I did know who Kobe Bryant was. Yeah. You guys basketball fans?
Do you know what? No, but again, he's a figure in all sport, and he's helped people all over the world, and he has a huge following. Not because he makes the LA Lakers loads of money, but actually he's one of those kind of rags to riches stories. He's worked really hard in his life, and he's tried to make a difference. Yeah. It's like there's no one. You've never read anything bad about Kobe Bryant. He's not like Tiger Woods.
Do you see everyone? You see his last tweet that you had?
I didn't.
It was like congratulating LeBron James on surpassing his record.
Oh, really?
He was like, I can't remember this tweet exactly. We can maybe bring it up on the screen. Now we record this thing. But it was like, congratulations, LeBron, like keep going and like score hundreds more.
That's what was so amazing about the guy. I mean, I should have been born in America because I've preferred American sports growing up. I don't play basketball anymore, but he was probably one of my key idol figures in the sport.
Yeah.
And he just enforced a mentality, what's known as like the Mamba mentality. I don't know if you guys know
the Black Mamba. That was his.
I don't know.
What's the Mamba mentality?
Essentially, what his take on it is just to inspire people to do well and to give a hard working ethic in what they want to actually be successful or want to do or love in life.
Yeah.
So it goes beyond basketball. It goes beyond sports. It's just a mentality of giving that 110% and driving other people forward. And it's highlighted in that recent tweet of his that although they played against each other, they were good friends. It's not always about competition. It's about each individual person being the best person they can be.
Yeah.
And he was happy to look back and go, LeBron's just overtaken my accomplishments.
Because usually people feel a bit bitter about those sort of things, don't they?
Mental. I think that's crazy.
Probably even like that adds to it even more is that his daughter was on board as well, wasn't she?
Yeah, that was savage.
Yeah.
She was. I think she was a rising star as well from some of the news I saw.
Because I haven't followed the story too closely, but I remember I saw videos on Twitter where it was like him and his daughter watching the game.
Yeah.
Is that was the daughter that died?
Yeah. Gigi.
Ah, okay.
So apparently,
Gigi, not Gigi.
I don't know how you pronounce it. Man.
I saw some interviews that he was saying that she's definitely going to play in the women's NBA.
Yeah. So people used to come up at famous dudes where celebs are there and just ask, are you going to have a son to take over? And she used to be like, just to cut that conversation short apparently and be like that. No, I've got this.
Yeah.
I'm the next Bryant in the legacy. So
big up that attitude. Right?
Well, that's installed from her father, which is like, it goes to show.
He had 4 daughters. 4 daughters or 3 daughters?
Yeah, 4. So they just had a newborn too, which makes it even worse.
Yeah, that's.
But also, the caliber of man he's chartered that helicopter. The people that are in his circle to be on that flight must be incredible people at the same time too.
One of them was a college baseball coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was husband and wife that were on there. The college baseball coach and his wife, and I'm not sure who the others were. But I read that they were on board as well. Yeah, so that's deep chats for the start of the podcast.
It's a sad loss for basketball, sad loss for sports, but also it's a sad loss for anyone that wants to be inspired by a positive character, I guess. These things unfortunately happen.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll take some of his wise words and try and act on them, right?
Exactly. And let everyone around you know that you love them and not to be too harsh on each other like we kind of are sometimes.
Ross has been at home crying for the week. That's why he's not been here.
I had an argument with a family member the day of, and the next morning both of us saw the news and squashed it.
Nice.
So
nice.
It just goes to show, it puts things into perspective.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's lift the vibes up.
I'm not sure it's going to be a positive one again because this has been all over the news as well, guys. I'm pretty sure we all know about this one, the coronavirus.
Yes.
Is just savaging China by the looks of it. What have you seen anything about it?
I don't know the ins and outs of this actually, but I've been away.
China is on lockdown. Like
it's not the whole of China. What they've done,
it's Wuhan.
They've created a place called Holiday Home. So I spoke to a guy yesterday, and he was from. He's been living in Hong Kong.
Yeah,
and I said to him, I said, what's it like at the moment?
Right.
He says it's like there is a lot of news. He said to me that he doesn't think there is as many people that are affected by it as it's made out, but they've created a holiday. It's called a holiday home or something like that, and then they put you in this small town, and they've kind of quarantined it off, and it's just to stop the spread because people fly everywhere, and it takes seconds.
There's lots of different stories coming out of it because we've seen videos come in from like Chinese employee that shows voice notes on WeChat that shows people, doctors and nurses saying that this is like really bad.
Yeah.
Like it is really bad. The government aren't telling people how bad it is, and there's people in these hospitals that can't be treated because they don't have the actual equipment to do so.
That's savage.
So I think it's a lot worse
serious,
than what people are actually that people know about. And I think the thing that's people are saying is going to be even worse is when people, because it's Chinese New Year at the moment, when people go back to the big cities and they travel, it's going to get a lot worse because people may be bringing things into the cities and people don't know they've got it, and then it infects a lot more people.
Yeah, it's not like you feel like you've got a cold, is
it? What I don't get is how is it not caused as like an international emergency straight away? Like I don't get how that hasn't been flagged initially. It started off in a market,
what people do is they panic, right? So think of it like that. Imagine if it was like a national security. What's the first thing you do is you run away. So everybody goes and they spread out. The problem with that is you can't control anything when everyone's out. You kind of need people together to work out who's got it, who hasn't, and start just slowly pushing them out and trying to treat it.
I saw this video of people trying to leave certain places, and they've like blockaded roads.
Yeah.
And what will happen is, to get through the actual blockade, they'll put a temperature gauge on you.
I see that.
And see if you've actually got a temperature. And if you've got too much, you can't come through.
What if you've jogged? You're having a little jog. You're like, I live there. They're like, no, mate. None of that.
not allowed.
Go on.
I don't think
You're
people
not
are out
allowed.
jogging at the moment, mate. And then I saw another story, which is a family. So it was a husband and wife, and then their 2 kids. They were getting on a plane. The 2 kids had a temperature. They weren't allowed to get on the flight. The parents left them.
I don't
way.
believe that.
I can't believe that.
You
wouldn't
I
do
don't
that.
believe
the parents left them.
Oh,
There's
no,
like-
I'm not saying you're
don't-
lying. I'm just saying I can't find that hard to believe.
I reckon I reckon that's a bullshit story.
It's not, mate. It's not. It was
You've
all
got
over
to
the
be
news.
some prize dickhead to do that.
Well,
Sorry.
It's your one job.
mate. There's a lot of
It's your
people.
one job.
Everything else you can walk away from a job, but that you
Savage.
can't walk away
See you
from.
later.
There's a lot
Bye.
of people in this world, mate.
To be
that
fair,
do
you
odd
cost
things.
me a lot of money, so. Like,
And they've also cancelled the indoor world championships, the athletics, because they're too scared of
shit.
contaminations. I think that was meant to happen in the next few weeks. They've cancelled that.
so that'll be is that part of the preliminary rounds for the Olympics as well?
No, it's the indoor world
oh,
championships.
okay, so it's not kind of.
Yeah.
Has
And
anyone seen the memes? Not no. Bear with me.
Go on then.
It's like Superstore. Well, what we call Sainsbury's or Tesco jokes. So basically, it's just pictures that I'm seeing of Corona bottles not being purchased in store.
You suck.
That's weird.
or like someone purchasing loads of lagers, ciders, different beers, and not buying the
Corona.
Coronas.
Yeah,
People are funny, aren't they?
Do you not think that would take a little effect on the brand, just as such?
Not at all. I don't think it's like
They should sponsor a hospital. You know, they're building
that.
hospitals in like 7 days there to like
Yeah.
house people.
Yeah.
It's insane.
They built one of the biggest
Yeah.
hospitals in 7 days.
It is
it's all like a
insane.
modular built thing. It was crazy.
Crazy. I think they're building a few of them. Anyway, we've spoken about that for a long time. Other topics of the news this week. Maybe just put the old jingle on. Still getting used to that. So, big things happening this weekend in the world of sport. Super Bowl. What number is it, Ross? You wanted to tell me?
Number 54.
54.
So keen. He's
Number
so keen.
54.
Kansas
Kansas
City
City
you,
versus
isn't
the
it?
49ers.
I was going to say that. I knew that bit.
Sorry.
Oh,
knew
City,
that little bit.
Kansas. Dude, I've been watching some of their stuff, some of their highlights. They played a team recently and they were something like 20 or was it 40 points behind.
Yeah.
They were 20-something points behind and then came to beat them by a further 20 points.
Yeah. DC was talking about it in the office.
That was unbelievable.
DC.
Yeah.
DC gets a mention.
As
Maybe
he
we'll
should.
get him on the podcast one day, DC. Yeah, he loves his American sport. But no, were you guys who
Sorry,
watching
Ross.
it?
Go on.
My dad's a massive Green Bay Packers fan. So
Oh, yeah,
I won't be
your dad,
watching
like,
it any
stays up
longer.
and
but
wakes
yeah,
up, doesn't he?
Sundays pretty tired on a Monday because Sunday's pretty much spent watching either highlights or the whatever games rolling on.
He
and
loves
off.
it, doesn't he?
Absolutely
Old Giannis.
loves it. Yeah, sat on the
Giannis.
sofa. That's kind of our bonding time, I guess. But enough of that.
Watching NFL dipping hummus. He just loves it, old Giannis, doesn't he?
What do you mean by dipping? Not last week's dipping. Carry on.
Yeah, you have to watch. You have to listen to last week's podcast to get that. That's a good
don't
joke. I
know.
like that.
TikToking.
TikToking.
Okay.
Yeah, but apparently I've read that it's. I'm not an NFL fan, but I've read that it's one of the most competitive finals in a very long time.
I mean, it won't be anything like last year.
So it's not that competitive.
That was the Tom Brady show, which was
Yeah.
just like the most boringest game in the sport. If they play and go at each other and it's a war, it'll be amazing.
Right.
But if one team asserts some form of dominance and then decides to just play tactically, it'll be boring for every single spectator watching the game.
And is it one of the teams like first appearances in like 50 years? The Chiefs, their first appearance
I'm
in a
not
long
too
time.
sure on the exact
Sounds
facts.
like you might know more than us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
mate, I've got notes, you know.
Pretty sure.
Is it? Well, it is. It's written down.
I think the most entertaining bit's going to be the halftime show, even though I'm not really too fascinated by halftime shows lately. But this year we've got J-Lo and Shakira.
Are they going to have a fight?
Who knows?
You know, like celebrity
Doing a
deathmatch.
duo?
Yeah.
What I do find funny is, though, you can actually place bets on what they're actually going to do and what they're going to wear and if they're going to come out speaking Spanish or English or what songs they're going to play. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
That's madness.
Is it just you and your dad making bets
24/7.
Swapping carrot sticks
Sat on the
for hummus
sofa.
and stuff. I raise you 3 carrot sticks.
Discussing carpet.
But this actually brings me nicely onto a topic that I know quite a bit about because I've watched the documentary. Even though I don't know anything about NFL, I watched this documentary because DC recommended it. And it is a documentary about an NFL player called Aaron Hernandez on Netflix. Have you guys seen it?
Yeah, I did. I watched it the other night.
So for the context, you haven't seen it, Ross?
Yeah, I haven't. So yeah, please explain.
Aaron Hernandez was like a college superstar essentially, but he had a bit of a checkered past in his previous like few years in college. But then he got signed by the Patriots, right? Patriots, and he went to the Super Bowl, and he was like this big like superstar, but he led like a completely different life off the field. Yeah. He's a bit of
interesting.
He's an interesting character. Essentially, he wanted to be a gangster off the field,
right?
And he ended up essentially killing numerous people. So this guy was like a superstar on the field, but off the field, he had this other life that no one really knew about. He ended up like killing loads of people.
Yeah.
How long did this go on for?
Oh mate, it went for a long time, right? So I think he went to college in like 2007 or something, and there was an incident where
his dad had passed away.
Yeah, his dad passed away.
And then his dad was like his dad was a big figure in
the community
for NFL. He was this big Puerto Rican geezer, right?
Hit him hard, did it?
And his dad was like really aggressive.
All right.
And he's like used to come home drunk and would like slap his mum about.
One of those.
And he would like, if the son said anything or did anything wrong, he'd get a hiding. So he's taking this
essentially like he was afraid of this guy.
Yeah, and he's taking this discipline on. So his dad kept him in check. And when his dad died, and everybody was like, "Yo, you're this big NFL star," his head just went, and he was like, "Do you know what? I do what I want."
I'm the Don Dapper.
And he went down to Florida.
Yeah, so he was meant to go to like Connecticut University, like the local university, but he decided to go to Florida. And Florida, they essentially had all the amazing players from that era. And the coach of the team, he was like a super religious guy. I think he was like a pastor as well, and it was like in his spare time.
Yeah.
So he had this team that were like really religious, really like straight edge, but they had this one guy, Aaron Hernandez, who appeared like he was normal, but off the field he was doing all sorts of stuff. I think there was one story where he was in a bar and someone spilt a drink on him, and he just battered them. Like he battered them and just walked out.
No. Yeah,
that was the first incident.
He tried not to pay for his drinks.
Yeah, that was
through
it.
the night, and
Yeah.
then the guy who owned the bar came up to him and was like, "Look, this is your receipt," and he just turned around and went whack.
Yeah,
It's
whacked
just being
him.
unreasonable.
So that was the first
thinking he's
one.
untouchable.
And the guy didn't press charges.
Yeah, he didn't
because
press
he knew
charges.
he was.
Yeah, he knew he was like one of the top stars in the Florida college team.
Right.
And then all this sort of people knew he had a reputation. Sorry.
You right, mate?
He knew he had a reputation. And when you go to the NFL, they do all sorts of different tests on you. So it's like athletic ability, confidence, blah, blah, blah. And there was one like maturity. And he scored 1 out of 10 on maturity.
Yes, a psychoanalysis.
So he was obviously an amazing player, but maturity-wise, there was loads of things about him that people didn't really know whether he actually could do it.
Yeah.
And then in the draft, he was meant to be like first round, first pick. But because of all these things that had happened and he had this reputation, he ended up going 4th round pick. Yeah. And he got picked up by the Patriots. Anyway, so like fast forward a little bit, he gets into the team and he becomes a superstar. And he starts like starting every game, and he, his head just grows massively. And he starts mixing in different circles. And there's this one story of where he's with a mate of his, and he goes to a bar. And I think it's on a Sunday, maybe like after a game, I'm not sure. But he goes into the bar and someone like spills a drink on him. And he like, on the CCTV footage, he doesn't look like pissed off or anything. But when he gets outside, he's like, you could see he's like worked up. You could see he's like shouting,
raging.
Like, yeah. So what happened was he saw these 2 people that spilled a drink on him go away in a car, and he got into a car with his mate. And what happened was they followed them for a little bit, and they pulled up at traffic lights, and Aaron Hernandez just rolled down the window and just shot them. He shot these 2 guys dead in the car.
Well, there was 3 people in the car.
Yeah. Spilt drink.
There was 3 people in the car.
Yeah.
And he had like a revolving handgun.
Yeah.
And he killed 2 of them.
Killed 2 of them.
And the other one just about survived. The funny thing is his mate is well known as a drug dealer.
Yeah.
He's got when they pulled him up in court, they're like, can you just confirm if you're currently under these sort of charges?
It was
there
like
20.
And then the story gets more interesting because
no, I'm not.
Because obviously he's killed these people, but at the same time, he's still playing in the NFL.
Well, actually, this was just before he got picked up. So this was just before
mad.
he got
I
drafted.
need to watch this.
No, he'd been drafted by this point.
Because he did a whole year with the Patriots after killing them.
Yeah, so he'd been drafted and he was in the team, and then he did a whole year after killing him. But what happened was, this is where it starts to get more interesting. The guy who was in his car with him, those two were good mates, but I think they went away for the weekend and like, I don't know where they went, but they went away for like a boys' weekend. And Aaron Hernandez was just like getting a bit like jittery about things because he thought people were going to find out. He thought cops were following him. He thought anyone who looked like with a fade and like brown hair was a cop following him. So what happened then was they left the club, got in a car together, and Aaron Hernandez like started driving, and the other guy passed out in the car. He drove him to like this abandoned like, I don't know, like parking lot or whatever. And the other guy woke up and there was a gun in his face. Aaron Hernandez shot him in the head, put his body out of the car or whatever. I think he may be out of the car already, and just fucked off. Thought he'd killed him.
No way.
The next day, the guy somehow survived this whole thing.
He got shot through like
Yeah.
the eye.
So did he shoot him because he thought he was going to tell? So he just
Well,
thought,
he
right,
just
this
got
is-
nervous,
This is
man.
one way that I can just make sure my paranoia doesn't take over.
Paranoid.
Yeah, he got super
mad.
nervous. So anyway, this guy's in hospital. The next day, he calls up Aaron Hernandez and he's like, "Hey, what happened last night?" And Aaron's like, "Who the fuck is this?"
Yeah, pretending like you didn't know him.
He was like, "Who the fuck is this?" Because he obviously was like, "Oh fuck, he survived as well."
Oh.
Man, and then
So did the person that got shot lose his memory?
No.
Or was he
sits
just
in
like
court
trying to say?
And he rats him out for everything.
Yeah, and then at the time though, the police are like, "Who shot you? Do you know?" And he's like, "I know." And they're like, "Who is it?" I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, he didn't.
And then in court, they're like, "Why didn't you want to tell us?" And he was like, "Because I wanted revenge. I wanted to shoot him and kill him."
Yeah.
So this guy was like after him, and then what happened was, I think because this guy was back out and he was like a dangerous bloke, Aaron became friends with these two other guys who sort of became his like bodyguard type mates, but they were like druggies essentially. Yeah.
Drug dealers and shit like that.
And I can't remember why, but there was another guy called Odin Lloyd who was going out with Aaron's fiance's sister.
Yeah.
So they became friends.
They used to smoke weed together.
Smoke
in his
weed
basement,
together.
and they were like good pals. And he started getting paranoid, and it feels like he's either said something to this Odin guy, or something or other, because then it all starts taking another turn, mate.
Yeah. So what happens then? I think they were out one night, and they were in a car, and I think something must have got said.
They picked him up at his house. They arranged to meet each other.
This was the night before. I think they went out for a drink at a bar. All of them went out for a drink at the bar, but then somehow like Aaron just lost his head a little bit. I think he stormed off, and something must have been said to this Odin Lloyd guy where maybe he told him what had happened, and he was like, "Fucking hell, man! Like that's like serious stuff," or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what he said.
We actually don't know.
We don't know what was said. Anyway, the next night, he's like, Aaron texts this Odin Lloyd guy and says, "Let's meet up. I'm gonna come meet you. We need to talk about some stuff." Anyway, he turns up at this guy's house with these two other blokes, and obviously they start smoking.
They're not going to talk, are they?
They start smoking weed or whatever. And he drives him off to another like abandoned like parking lot, and he shoots this guy dead. And this was a guy he was mates with, like good friends with. His fiance was sister. That was his guy.
He's just killing everyone close to him. By
Yeah,
the sounds
man.
of it, because you can't take the fact that like the paranoia is kicking in for what.
And then what happened and how he got caught is even more interesting, because where he dumped the body is like a mile from his house, right? And the only
come on.
How dumb have you got to be?
the only connection that this Odin Lloyd guy had to this area was Aaron Hernandez, right? And because Aaron Hernandez was so paranoid about this other guy coming back and getting him, he installed all this security system at his house. Sorry, I got like burps or something. He installed the security system at his house. It was like top of the range, like tech, like cameras in every room. And what they saw was all these guys coming back to the house in this car. So they've all come back.
Because they deleted some of the footage, but they didn't delete them.
Didn't delete all the footage. And there's other bits of Aaron in the house like holding a gun. And then these other guys walking around like man, it's an insane story. If you've not watched it, you need to watch
So
it.
his own CCTV got used in court against him.
Yeah.
I tell you
What
what's
an
interesting on
idiot.
this though, right? He didn't get picked up for anything until he killed the Odin guy.
Yeah.
Then those guys, it was a hire car, dropped the hire car back off at the station, at the hire place.
Yeah.
There was gun shells in the front seat with his DNA on it and chewing gum from the shop that he was in CCTV. Right?
Yeah.
So that's how they found out. And the only reason they found out about the other shootings is because his cousin wouldn't testify about where he was.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm not saying anything. She ended up going to prison for 3 months, and then they searched her house. And they pulled the car out, and on TV, people are filming it. Because he killed these two guys in another state, the police from the Boston State Police Department were watching the news, and they saw the car they've been looking for like a year and a bit, and they're like, he didn't get done for the dual murder.
He put nails in his own coffin.
Yeah. So and then
he didn't get caught for that.
He didn't get caught. So he got sent to prison, and then after he was in prison, he was then getting done for the double murder, and he got acquitted of the double murder.
Yeah.
He got off it.
I have no idea.
He got
How
off the
did you
double
get
murder.
off that?
And
Money.
And at the shot of him in court, because this was all filmed, right? It was on TV. People could watch it. In court, he starts like crying. So it looks like the first time. I don't know. Maybe he didn't kill these guys, but he looks guilty as fuck. Maybe the other guy in the car killed them. Who knows? But he started crying, and the next day he killed himself.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's like savage
that.
story.
Just
so this guy,
It's an
Downward
amazing
spiral.
documentary.
this
man.
guy like had everything. He was earning loads of money. He was one of the best stars. Everyone loved him. But off the field, he just had this other life that he wanted to fulfill, because for whatever reason, he just liked killing people. And he thought it was like above the law, and he could do what he wanted because he got away with it for so long. Obviously, started small, beating people up, got away with it. Maybe he just worked. I don't know. But it's an insane story.
Well, he
it sounds good,
also
guys.
got another little house just outside.
Yeah.
So he what he'd do is he'd leave his main house because he was that paranoid and go live in this little flat with this old woman next door, and then go back and forth. And she only realised it was
life.
him. Dude, it was.
It's an insane story. If you've not watched it, I'd 100% recommend. We've probably ruined it for you now.
Ruined it for
No, it's
everyone
fine.
listening.
I don't
or
mind
watching.
hearing a little bit about it. I think Netflix are just killing it at the moment. I've got so many on my list, so that's gonna have to go on the bottom, I'm afraid.
Well, it should go towards the top, mate. I'll be honest. Anyway, we spoke. This is going to be a long podcast again. We haven't even started talking about any topics. I think we're going to have to cut this one short today. But let's have a look at what Lloyd has sent in today on his video.
Hi gentlemen, using the JBL Pulse filter today, no sponsored. My question for you is, in light of all the hacks that we've had this week, Jeff Bezos, NFL and Gymshark, if our development team could get you access to anyone's iPhone in the world, whose would it be?
Oh, great question.
Our development team in Macedonia will be working hard for us. That is a good question. That is a good question. I like that one. Who's going first? I need to have a think about this.
Yeah, so do I. I always jump in with loads of answers, but it's kind of interesting, isn't it? Who would I want to know?
Oh, we're on the spot.
Oh,
Yeah, it is, isn't
We're
it? It's quite a
actually on
tough
the
one because
spot.
he's like,
I've got one at the moment. It'd be quite interesting to see what's going on his phone. Prince Andrew.
Oh, we're going there.
That'll be a good
We're
one
actually
to.
going there.
That'll be a good one to find out what's going on at the moment, right? It'll be so funny to
Or
see.
just any of the royals. I want to see what's going on between
William and Harry.
Yeah,
You prick.
and the Queen.
The Queen left the group chat.
the Queen. That's got to be her phone. It's got to be the Queen, isn't it? How many people has she murdered? Like,
She just got one person on her phone. It's like Prince Philip. Ross, who are you going for?
Do you know what? I'll go with
Epstein.
I'll go with something different. Woody Harrelson's my favourite actor. I see him in the 3 Billboards last night, but he's also in Zombieland, which I quite like.
Billboards is an amazing film.
I would like to see what goes on in that man's life because I reckon he's quite a funny character, and I would love to have a drink at a bar with that man. So just out of not gaining any, elite data that can benefit my position, I would just like to understand a bit more about one of my favourite actors. Boom.
Hayden, what are you saying?
Mine would probably be Ozzy Osbourne. Just for the, do you remember the TV series?
Yeah.
How mad was that? I just want to know who he's talking to and what he's talking about.
Sharon. that's all his texts are.
am I, Sharon?
Didn't I read recently that he's hid his Parkinson's for like 5 years?
20 years.
Any-
He's been hiding it for 20 years. He
the
was
guy's
like,
been shaking because he's an alky. That's what I thought it was.
no, he's got Parkinson's.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's admitted he's got Parkinson's now. which is
savage.
obviously a horrible disease. But yeah.
But anyway, what a great character as well.
Yeah, he's pretty insane.
Pure
character.
entertainment, and Black Sabbath is a dope.
Whose phone would you want to hack in the office?
Ooh.
Are you looking at him?
Question. I'd think I'd want the boss man's. I think
Which
I'd want
boss man?
the
though?
Majid's 100%.
Yeah.
Majid's the boss man.
Which boss man? There's two, innit?
All right, cool.
Ketchup or mayo?
You want Majid's phone?
I want to see what goes on.
Yeah,
I probably wouldn't be able. I'd have to translate it from French to English.
No, you mean try and translate his English?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be you or Majid. That's what I don't know. Yeah. I reckon you guys have little secret conversations.
Secret? Yeah, just about you two.
Fucking when are we getting rid of these bastards?
There's a reason why I'm on the subs bench. You just haven't quite been told yet.
Yeah, so on the hacking story, let's not probably spend too much on this, but I'm going
hacking on hacking.
Oh, mate, don't start that. I don't know if I've told you, I told Ross this. Whenever it says like hacking in the newspaper, my dad, he takes a picture of it and he like sends it through to everyone. He'll put it on Facebook. He'll put it on like a group chat. Like, hacking in the news again. Nice one, Dad.
Strutting around.
We're in the news. Yes. No, but there's an interesting hacking story about Socially Powerful. Actually,
Oh yeah.
I don't think you guys will know this. I'm not sure how many people actually in the office will know this actually happened, but it's when two people joined the company. Ellie and Jeff. Jeff no longer works here, but it is a hilarious story. So on their first days, I think it was Ellie's first day actually, she disappeared for like 5 hours. And I was like, Majid, where's she gone? Like, he was like, I don't actually know. I don't know where she's gone. Anyway, it transpired that what had happened was someone was pretending to be Majid on email.
No, you're joking.
Someone was pretending to be Majid on email, and it started off like with small. No, it was like afterwards you could tell it was so fake because it was like blah 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 at gmail.com, just with the name Majid Bahi. And obviously when you get an email from Majid Bahi, you think, okay, I'm not even bothered checking the email the email address. Anyway, so it starts off with an email from this person, Majid, saying, Ellie, I need you to go and get me something from a shop. A client needs it urgently. And she replies, yeah, sure, what is it? And it's like, oh, £500 worth of Google Play cards. And she's like, okay, cool, do you want me to borrow the company card? And the guy replies, no, I need it urgently. Just go and use your card and expense it and I'll give you it straight back.
No way.
Off she goes. Off she goes to the shop.
That's a lot of money.
Off she goes to the shop. And she's emailing saying, where can I get these cards from? And the person replies like, oh, you can get them like anywhere, like Sainsbury's, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, she goes into Sainsbury's or Argos, I can't remember where it was. And she gets these cards and she emails Majid and goes, what do you want me to do with them now? And he goes, oh, just scrape the backs off and tell me what the codes are. Because obviously when you scrape the backs off, you can get the codes. Yeah. So what she did was she had all these cards. She scraped the whole backs off and sent the codes to this guy. And this guy just cashed the money. And then Ellie emailed Majid.
That's very smart, actually.
Ellie emailed Majid again saying, I've done it. There you go. And then I think she came to Majid and emailed actually Majid on like another thread saying, hey, I've just got these cards. I've sent you the money. I've sent you all the codes. Can you expense me back? And Majid was like, what the fuck is that about?
I can't believe this is a real story.
It's a real story.
To have been a fly on the wall.
And then the other thing, so Jeff, he was working as sales for us, and I think he'd been here like a couple of weeks, and he was off to a meeting, but he was on a train to a meeting somewhere, and the same thing happened, and he was like, yeah, I'll go and get them when I'm back home. I'll go to like Sainsbury's tonight or something. And then the guy was like, oh no, I need them in the next like couple of hours. And he was like, okay, cool, I'll go after the meeting. So he went to like loads of different shops like Sainsbury's, Argos, and he was like, I can't find them anywhere. And then the guy emailed back saying, I need them now. Like, just find them anywhere. And then Jeff like screenshotted the email to me, and he was like, mate, what is going on with Majid? He's going crazy. And I was like, I'm sure that's not Majid, mate. Can you send me the email address? And he screenshotted, and I went, yeah, that's not Majid. But Jeff was basically, he was like about to quit because he was like, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not spending my money for you.
500
so
quid
can I not
those.
just use the card? Yeah, so like this thing happened in Socially Powerful, mate. It was like
That's mad.
maybe like a year ago.
How has no one heard about this story already?
It's a great story. Thanks for saving that.
Yeah, it's quite good, isn't it? So I thought when I saw the hacks thing, I was like, maybe we can relate this to what's happened with us. So if you guys ever get an email from me and Majid, make sure it actually is James at Socially Powerful.
Don't worry, I delete them anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so topics. This has been.
You were talking about hacking. I've been hacked. So this was
your nudes.
Yeah. No, they weren't hacking. I sent them out.
You just released them.
Yeah. It's a big press release. Boom.
Uncle Albert's nudes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to go into detail, but so
I don't think you have the facilities for that.
Perfect.
Anyway,
I'm
go on,
getting
sir.
roasted now, aren't I? Yeah, but anyway, so my Lloyds bank got hacked.
Your loin bank.
My loincloth and my loin bank. So my Lloyds bank got hacked, and I didn't know anything had happened because I like transfer stuff into Monzo, and I use that as a way to manage my spending, etc. There's loads of other stuff, and it's only because I got a text from Lloyds in the morning saying, "Can you confirm this transaction?" I was like, "Well, I haven't used my Lloyds for that. I've only been taking money out, or I put money in. I don't buy anything with it." So I've had a look, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like scrolling through these transactions.
Was it a lot of money?
I was like, "I've got no money." I didn't even think about it. I've got like 50 quid in my Monzo, and I was like, nothing in my bank and my overdraft. I was like,
What have they done? Just shopping trip,
mate,
food for the family.
So there's
clothes.
someone. The request that I had to confirm was for like £75 worth of.
Cotton earbuds.
It was a Just Eat delivery, like from on a Thursday night, and I was like, I wasn't there Thursday, and 75 quid is a lot.
It's a lot of Chinese food.
There's
That.
only two of us.
That.
Like a 55, a 64, 31. It's everything.
So I had that, and then I looked through, and then it was buying clothes, and then there was tickets to stuff, and there was like loads of stuff. I paid off someone's Virgin Media bill,
Student loan.
there was loads of stuff going on, and then there was like tons of transactions. Yeah, tons of transactions for PlayStation.
Yeah.
Like games or the PlayStation. I don't have a PlayStation.
Oh, right.
That's what I said. So I said to the lady, I was like, I don't have a PlayStation. I also don't have an Amazon account. And if you look for everything that I've had before, I've never even made a purchase via that way.
Yeah.
But luckily I'm kind of covered, so they put everything back.
That's nice.
But there you go.
It's my story. What happened in the office recently? Didn't someone get a hold of a Google Drive link for Gymshark's workouts?
Oh yeah, Alex didn't she? She put it in the group.
Everyone just decided
Bums
to
and
go
tums.
crazy and download a number of different workout routines.
Yeah.
The thing that I find funny is though that having the workout routine doesn't necessarily make that you're going to go and
You're not going to go and do it. Got it.
Yeah, done it.
It doesn't
Brilliant.
get you in the gym and actually
Completed
put the
it.
effort in.
No, that's true.
I've got it, but I've not touched it.
So they got hacked then, did they?
Well, I think some of the talent that signed up to their rosters, somehow they got access to pretty much every sort of meal plan and different workout regime. So what they would pay Gymshark and that individual for is now available for free through this download link.
Can I just give one bit of advice on that? If I was Gymshark, I would absolutely own that and be like, do you know what? We're going to give everything up for free because we want to be a bit different. That's how I do it.
2 hours later.
I think we've got to move this on, guys, because we haven't. I think we're going to have one time for one topic. Otherwise, it's going to be like an hour-long podcast.
Yeah, we can definitely cut some.
Yeah, so I think. Well, don't know. We can't cut, mate. We just go with the flow.
All right.
I thought these were the topics anyway.
No, these are going to be short news topics that take like a minute.
Oh.
Israel Folou.
Yeah, let's talk about Israel Folou. This is our last topic of the week. We spoke about sport a lot, so let's continue the conversation about sport. And obviously, the Six Nations starts this weekend, so rugby is on the horizon, and we spoke about it last week. So let's continue. Israel Folou. Do you guys know anything, or do you want me to give the whole context?
I know about him before, why he was no longer part of the Australia rugby team.
He got sacked, didn't he?
Yeah, for
so
him being
this
homophobic.
guy, sort of like Aaron Hernandez, but in a completely different way. This guy was like
a really weak link.
but he was. The link is that he was one of the best players in rugby.
Yeah.
Like he's gone from rugby league to rugby union. He was the top try scorer. He was the record try scorer in Super Rugby. So this guy is like top of the shit. But at the same time, he was a born again Christian.
Yeah.
So he's grown up like, I think his dad's a pastor, and he's been involved in religion his whole life, and he essentially.
His dad likes pasta.
Yeah, he's penne.
Pasta, yeah, he loves a bit of penne. Spaghetti at weekends.
We're scraping the bottom of the barrel with these jokes this week, aren't we?
Yeah, I've forgotten where I was going now. You just completely lost my train of thought.
He was a born-again Christian.
Yeah, so he essentially took the Bible, everything he did in his life, he was accountable for.
Yeah.
Whatever he acted, whatever he did, he was accountable for his actions.
Yeah.
And on his Instagram, his Twitter, his social media, he posted a lot of strange things.
Right.
Like a lot of Bible verses, a lot of religious stuff, a lot of religious videos of him actually giving sermons at a church.
Okay.
And obviously people follow him, and it wasn't stuff where he was like saying super controversial things, but there was one thing when he decided, do you know what, fuck it, I'm going to give my opinion on this.
Are we allowed to say what it was actually said, or
I'll try and find it here. Let me try and find where I've written it. You've just thrown me off here, Ross.
Sorry.
So 1 sec, try and find it. Yeah, I think what happened was someone asked on his Instagram post what happens to homosexuals.
With what? Just in general?
Like, because it's talking about religion, right?
Yeah.
And he's a born again Christian. He maybe thinks that, what he thinks. We know the story, but what
he's
said,
very extreme with his views.
What he said was that hell awaits them unless they repent and change their ways. And he put this out.
No.
And when you put something like that out, it's going to spread like wildfire.
It's bold, isn't it?
Maybe if someone who's got 200 followers and no one knows who they are, it's not going to spread because who gives a fuck. But when this guy's idolized by kids, by fans of teams, he's known in the rugby world.
In the sport.
This just spread.
Yeah.
And it was like, what the fuck has he done? But previously to this, he'd put out like rogue passages of the Bible. And the sponsors of like the Australian team of Qantas, so the airline, they'd like said, okay, this is a bit weird what he's saying. Can we talk to him about it? Mm-hmm. And he said, okay, yeah, I'll promise not to, I won't do it again. Yeah. And then he went full on in.
Yeah.
He did a Prince Andrew.
Yeah. In Pizza Express. Yeah. So he essentially got sacked by Rugby Australia. And he was meant to be the star of their team going to the Rugby World Cup. Obviously didn't go to the Rugby World Cup. And he decided to take them to court. So he took them to court and he was like claiming damages and all this sort of stuff. They stopped him from earning money because he got sacked from the team. Like no team wanted him. And they had an out-of-court settlement. He was claiming for 14 million in compensation. I don't know what he got, but they got an out-of-court settlement.
I'd give you 50p. That would be about it, mate.
Yeah. And then what's happened this week is he's gone from rugby union to rugby league. So it's sort of like, no, I'm not going to say that. So
explain the difference,
you've got to
though,
be careful
for some people that might not know, like myself.
No, so rugby league, rugby union, they're two different sports. So rugby league, you get 6 tackles to get to the other end. Rugby union, you can just keep going for as long as possible.
Right.
So I'd say rugby league's a lot faster paced, more fast paced.
Yeah.
Anyway, so no team in Australia or New Zealand wanted him. I don't know if that's true, or maybe I made that up, but he's decided to come to Super League. Mm-hmm. So Super League is Britain's rugby league, league, essentially like Premier League.
Yeah.
And
big up north.
Yeah, big up north, big up north. No teams down here, really.
Is that the one that Saracens are in and the Wasps and stuff?
No, that's rugby union, mate.
It all confuses me.
So he's signed for the Catalan Dragons. So the Catalan Dragons are a French team that play in the Super League.
Right.
And they decided, you know what? He's an amazing player. Let's sign him. And there was other things that other teams were interested but decided not to, like Wigan Warriors, who've been in the news this week for another reason. I'll tell you that in a second. Their chairman came out and said they were tempted to sign him, but ended up not going for it because of obviously it would cause like a huge backlash. And when it came out that he signed for the Catalan Dragons on Monday, obviously they know their fixtures for the year. Wigan Warriors put out that the day that Israel Folou, I think it's March 6th, they play Catalan Dragons, it's going to be known as Pride Day. So they're going to invite. So they're going to invite loads of groups that LGBT groups essentially down to the ground for the day.
That's a brilliant idea.
I can imagine there's the rainbow shoelaces and that sort of stuff is going to be.
Situation, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
well, no,
so
it's not even taking the piss of the situation. It's them going, you have such a strong opinion, and opinions you should really keep to yourself.
Yeah. Them ones,
and
anyway.
let people live their life.
Yeah.
But you're going to do that, then great. We're going to come at you and we're going to make it Pride Day.
Yeah.
Good. Well done, Wigan Warriors. Big up.
And there's I can't remember the name of the guy, but it's the only openly gay rugby league player. I think he plays for Halifax or something. Mm-hmm. He's come out and said, like, this is, it's like, I can't believe it. Super League team's done this and it's caused loads of controversy. And he says, like, people deserve second chances, but like with views like that, you're not really allowing people, as you said, to live their lives. You're like forcing your views that I'm not a nice person because I was born this way. So it's caused like there's a controversy there. So I can imagine like the backlash of this is going to be pretty crazy. Like this team have not only signed this player, like think about the sponsors of that team.
Yep.
Are they going to be happy about it? The fans of that team, I'm sure they've got LGBT like fans. Like
I think there's one way.
Just because you're gay doesn't mean you stop liking a sport.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. Plus, you imagine being in the Wigan Warriors team. When it comes in, you're like, I'm going to smash
you're going to smash that guy.
And he's going to get beaten up.
What's interesting is because obviously this Halifax player, he's up north. They all know each other because it's not like rugby or football where it's a big sport. It's only clicky. Like select cities that play it or towns and cities that play it. So they all sort of know each other. So I can imagine he's going to have a lot of friends in teams all over the Super League that are going to want to. He's going to be the target man every time he gets on the pitch.
I would hate to be that because rugby league is vicious, man.
Yeah. Like you see rugby,
isn't it?
Like rugby union's vicious, but rugby league is like American football with no pads.
Yeah.
Like these guys, you can shoulder charge, you can do everything, man. It's like brutal.
But imagine getting tackled in NFL and then instead of having to then reset the whole team, you just pick the ball up and you pass it out and it continues.
Yeah.
And you get sacked again while you get up.
And you get sacked again, and then you've got, like James said, you've got 6 plays until you get to that point, or 6 tackles.
Do you not think though, if he keeps his nose squeaky clean for a bit, he's had the consequences. He's been sacked.
Has he had the consequences?
I think
mate, he gets the sorry.
If there's an apology in order and maybe a statement from whatever league he's now joined, does that not sort of take the blow away from what's actually happened? So what they've said, the Super League have said
that if anything comes out that he starts saying these things again, he obviously will get sacked.
There's
going to be sanctions.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, right, because he's from the Pacific Islands, England have some Pacific Islander players or players that have that background. So the Vunipola brothers. Yeah. So Billy Vunipola, who is England's number 8, he actually came out and somehow supported Israel Folou when it all came out because he said, look, this is how we've grown up. This is what we've been taught.
Yeah, it's about conditioning.
Yeah. So there has been players that have come out and supported him and been on his side, but I don't know.
Agree in silence. Like what Hayden said, you can support that view, but just keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
No one's going to go against that now. Yeah. No way.
And the thing is, it's gonna give people of religions another bad name, and it's
because not everyone is like that. I'd say there's millions of Christians that are not like that.
You look at for every religion, it feels like it's really easy to build up media around it and group people together and go, and actually it's individuals that fuck it up for everyone else. Yeah. But, he's going to get his comeuppance when he gets on that field, mate. As soon as he touches the grass.
Going back to what he said, though, if it's just the hell statement, surely if you're not religious, that doesn't necessarily apply to you? Or is that just overthinking
I mean, you could say sticks and stones. Yeah. Yeah. But at the same time,
he basically said that it's God's plan that if they don't repent,
go into hell.
They're going.
See you later.
They're going to hell.
I'd be like, fine, man. It's warm down there. There's some fun people there. I'm like, cool.
I get to hear some stories.
Are definitely there. Yeah.
So Hernandez is there.
Yeah, I was like, this is brilliant.
Yeah, I can chill Hernandez.
Yeah. And actually, Hernandez, it came out that he was also, he was bisexual.
Yeah, there's a lot of things coming about that he was suppressing his other life where he was having sexual relations with men
in the team. But he wasn't being open about it, whereas some of the other guys
So he was suppressing all these things, and he was like a champagne bottle. So,
So, he's going to hang out with him, and he kills people. So, he's going to be your ultimate enemy.
Me and you against Israel Folou. Anyway, I think because we've spoken for a very long time, really let's cancel this one now, guys. Not cancel, let's end it.
Nice one.
But no, Ross, good to have you back in the sub-bench seat.
It's been a pleasure. I'm sure I'll be subbed straight back off after this one, but it's been an honour, guys.
Mate, thank you. You've done yourself proud. Hey.
I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man.
See you next week, people. Bye.